Make Walters your spot for the Caps playoff run. They have plenty of TVs and beer options. Game 2 is Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Walters is located across the street from Nationals Park.
Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this podcast. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. If you haven't heard of the EE System, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. In hundreds of locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/bluewire to learn more and find a center near you. That's unifydhealing.com/bluewire. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
Swing by Meneses and a base hit into right field. This will score two. Young has scored. Abrams around third. He's coming home. And Garcia all the way to third. Joey Meneses throw a wide open right side. That makes for him 4 hits in his last 7 times up. And the Nationals add on with Adam Eaton in the booth here in the bottom of the 5th inning. It's now the Nationals 5 and the Astros nothing.
Now the set, the 1-2. Strike 3 called. Fastball outside corner at the knees. Tucker caught looking. Mitchell Parker, strikeout number 6. 6 shutout innings here at home in his home debut against the Houston Astros. 6-0 Nationals, 2 outs, top of the 7th. The windup, the 0-2 delivery. Swing and a miss. He struck him out on a high fastball. 8 strikeouts in 7 shutout innings for this rookie, Mitchell Parker, who's dominated the Dodgers even better than that today against the Astros. What a performance over 7 innings.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Monday, April 22nd, 2024. Along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Nationals now are 3-1 over their last 4 series. Sunday afternoon, a 6-0 win over the Houston Astros at Nationals Park to win the series 2-1 and to improve to 10-11 in this 2024 regular season. As Mitchell Parker was terrific. Have the Nats found a diamond in the rough in Mitchell Parker? Here's all that you need to know about Mitchell Parker's outing on Sunday afternoon. Davey Martinez, during his postgame press conference, was asked if Parker's work might mean that the Nats this season eventually go with a 6-man rotation. Yes, we in April got a 6-man rotation question, and Davey did not dismiss the possibility of a 6-man rotation.
That hasn't come up yet. He's gonna get his next start. We hope that Josiah Gray, gets healthy soon. He comes back, and then we'll have some decisions to make. But he's done really well.
Let that sink in. The Nats are doing well. If you would like to sponsor this podcast, we'd love to have you on board. You can sponsor for the entire season or for a specific series or for a specific game. Email Tim Shovers at natschatpodcast@gmail.com. This installment of the Nats Chat Podcast is brought to us by Mason Kalfas at Zenith Legal. Mason Kalfas and his team specialize in placing partners and associates at medium-sized and large law firms in Washington, D.C. and across the country. Mason's number is 202-486-3535. You could also check out his website, zenithlegal.com. Mitchell Parker on Sunday afternoon, 7 scoreless innings, 8 strikeouts, no walks. He allowed 3 hits, all of which were singles. He, over his 7 shutout innings, threw 73 pitches. That was it, 73 pitches and a whopping 57 strikes versus 16 balls. Mark, you take a step back. The Nats' 2 best outings from starting pitchers in this series, in which Mackenzie Gore started a game, came from Trevor Williams and Mitchell Parker. What is going on here?
This is how they had it drawn up coming out of camp, right? This is exactly what everybody saw coming. It was remarkable to see this, and the strike throwing was incredible. 5 innings in, he had faced 17 Houston batters and thrown a grand total of 10 balls. Let me repeat that. 17 batters faced, 10 called balls. That is insane. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, or if I have, it was probably somebody like Greg Maddux. So for it to be Mitchell Parker in his second career start against the Houston Astros, and I get that they're struggling and they're maybe not the mighty Houston Astros at the moment, but it's still Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, and company. That was remarkable. And, when he did it at Dodger Stadium, you say, all right, that was really cool, but let's see if that was just a once-in-a-lifetime kind of event. He does it again, and he does it against Houston, and now you start saying, they may be onto something here. And that would be remarkable if it does prove true.
Yeah, the Astros for this regular season now just 7-16, but whatever. Mitchell Parker was pitching in his second ever Major League regular season game. Mitchell Parker in his career in the minor leagues averaged 4.6 walks per 9 innings. Walks were a problem for Mitchell Parker in the minors, and yet he, over these 2 Major League regular season starts, has issued 0 walks. And, you look at what went down with Nats starting pitchers in this series. So Trevor Williams in the 5-4 10-inning win on Saturday. Very good performance. 1 run, 6 innings. A lot of strikes. 77 pitches, 52 strikes, just 25 balls. Even Mackenzie Gore in the 5-3 loss on Friday evening. Look, that was a disappointing outing. He lasted for just 4 innings, during which he allowed 3 runs. But even Gore in that game threw a lot of strikes. 92 pitches, but 64 strikes, 28 balls. We all remember the mantra from Mike Rizzo during spring training, right? I don't care how fast you throw ball 4. Perhaps that is sinking in. Nats starting pitchers lately are doing a really good job of throwing strikes.
What do you know? It is kind of not a bad philosophy when you actually stop and think about it. Make them beat you. Don't help them out. Don't give them anything for free. And the stunning part to me is, as you just said, this is not who he was in the minor leagues. Now, he's gotten better progressively over the years. When he was first drafted out of San Jacinto College, he was a really high walk total, I think like 8 walks per 9 innings, and he has worked his way down. What it sounds like was that this spring, they really worked with him on recognizing where his strengths were, where he would get swings and misses, essentially. And the consensus was you get them high with fastballs and you get them low with curveballs and his splitter. You're not really getting them inside or outside. So focus on up and down as you're approaching this. And this is what he has done. He's throwing fastballs up in the zone. He has one of those good rising fastballs, kind of like a Sean Doolittle. It doesn't blow you away in terms of velocity, but apparently it's very tough to pick up on and pretty deceptive. And so he's having success with that. And then he's throwing the off-speed stuff down in the zone, and he's not really doing much to the sides. Again, it's 2 starts. You don't want to read too much into it, and maybe this isn't exactly who he's going to be in the long haul. But I think he's figured something out, and they have figured out something with him in how to create a plan of attack for having success. And 2 starts in, you could not drop a better plan for success than what he has done.
For sure. And, when you think about Mitchell Parker, taken in the 5th round of the 2020 MLB draft out of, like what you said, San Jacinto College, if this Nats rebuild is going to work, you're going to need to stumble into some diamonds in the rough. Like, it can't just be that all of the prospects work out, because all of the prospects, in terms of the top prospects, they're not all going to work out. Like, that's just how this stuff goes, right? So if you get a diamond in the rough in a Jake Irvin, if you get a diamond in the rough in Mitchell Parker, that changes everything, because all of a sudden you're not so dependent on the Jackson Rutledges and Mason Dennebergs and Cade Cavallis working out. You hope that they all work out, but chances are they are not all going to work out. So yeah, 2 starts into the major league career of Mitchell Parker. Nobody's going crazy, but you can't help but be encouraged. And there is this real maturity that he's displaying out there. He's pitching like a veteran, which is so encouraging.
There's so much poise. It's crazy. And Davey mentioned it, that he noticed this spring from him. The kid has no heartbeat. It means that as the ultimate compliment. He certainly didn't have one at Dodger Stadium last week, and he didn't have one in this one here. And you saw he's attacking the strike zone, and as soon as the ball's put into play, he's right back on the mound asking for the ball back. Like, he just wants to keep that going, keep that rhythm going. I'm sure as an infielder especially, you've got to love working behind a guy who does that. Think about over the years, the pitchers who just nibble around the strike zone and take their time. And it's so agonizing to watch, and it's so tough, I think, for teammates to stay mentally focused on that. Well, when you have a guy who just takes the ball and throws strikes and gets quick outs, it makes a big difference. What was the old Ray Miller adage? work fast, throw strikes, change speeds. Well, I think Mitchell Parker is doing that to a T. And yes, again, 2 starts. We don't know how this is all going to play out. But right now, between Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker, let's give some deserved credit to the Nationals player development system for, at this point, taking a couple of non-first round picks, getting them to the big leagues and getting some success out of them and making them better now than they were when they first joined the system. That is huge. If that can continue, it means the world for this organization that has had so much trouble doing exactly what they're now doing with these 2 guys.
It's a game changer in a lot of ways. And I know that may sound like hyperbole. I don't think that it is. If the Nats all of a sudden are good at turning non-first round pick starting pitchers into quality major league starting pitchers, that is massive. Now, to the question of the 6-man rotation, and this is getting way ahead of ourselves. I get that. But look, that's the point of a podcast like this. You can have a little bit of fun. You can speculate a little bit. So, of course, so much of this depends on Josiah Gray, his health when he's back. Do you think that in, say, the first half of a season, the Nats would entertain the notion of a 6-man rotation if Mitchell Parker continues to pitch well?
I think more than that. Right now, if I was a certain veteran left-hander who has not pitched very well and is in the last year of my contract, or a certain veteran right-hander who is off to a very good start but knows he's not part of the long-term plan around here, I'd be watching my back right about now. Again, there's a ways to go before anything happens, but I think it would be more likely that they would use this as a way to replace one of the veterans, Patrick Corbin or Trevor Williams, if things continue to go down the path that we kind of think they might. Number one, though, they have to get Josiah Gray back. Now, he's about ready to start playing catch. Or he has started playing catch, actually. So that's a great sign. But there's still a lot of steps to go. It's not like that's just, a week away from him returning to the big leagues. You got to build it back up. You got to start throwing off a mound, face hitters, go make a minor league rehab assignment, all that kind of stuff. So we're still weeks away from any of that happening. If this continues on this path and that happens, and if nothing else happens to anybody else in the rotation, then you start talking about what do you do? And I would think they're more inclined to replace one of the veterans with a successful young starter than to go with a 6-man rotation right now, because I don't think they like the idea of having one fewer relievers. I think you'd rather have a Trevor Williams in your bullpen, or even a Patrick Corbin, to be honest, somebody who can give you length, as opposed to having 6 starters and only 7 relievers.
So from a workload standpoint, you don't think the 6-man rotation would be appealing because at least you'd have Corbin eating up innings that you aren't necessarily wanting to put on these other younger starters?
Yeah, I could see that. I could see how there'd be an argument for that. And clearly, the way that they have managed these young guys here early on, there's an obvious attempt here to minimize the number of pitches and innings they're throwing now in April, with the hope being that they will have enough left in the tank come August and September. So another way to do that, yes, is to spread out their starts by having a 6th starter. So maybe it comes to that. I think it depends on who's performing well and not performing well at the time. What is Josiah Gray's health? Where's Cade Cavalli in this process as we start getting closer to him maybe returning? But you know what? It's nice to have options for a change and not feel like you are required to put somebody in your rotation and keep giving them the ball if they haven't necessarily earned it. So if they get to that point, and maybe at long last, after several years of talking about this, maybe they are finally getting close to that point, that's going to be a really nice problem to have.
Let the record show we have more than a week left in the month of April, and we're already talking about a 6-man rotation for the Nationals. That is a good thing. It was Mitchell Parker and 2 Nats relievers who combined on this shutout of the Astros on Sunday afternoon. Dylan Floro tossed a perfect top of the 8th. Matt Barnes tossed a scoreless top of the 9th. So finally, seemingly for once, David Martinez uses fewer than 3 relievers in a game. Of course, go figure, it's the day before an off day. So if there was a day on which he could have used a bunch of relievers, this probably was that day. But whatever, really good performance by Nats pitching. We get 3 Nats pitchers combining for a 4-hit shutout of the Astros. Hey, are you a law firm partner or associate stuck in the minor leagues like
Mitchell Parker?
Your employer might be holding you back from your true potential. Maybe another law firm can get you what you need. More money, better support, better client contacts, or a better brand name. You need a better agent. You need Mason Kalfas. Mason Kalfas, he started Zenith Legal in 2015 to be the best legal recruiter in the nation, and he has succeeded. He has placed partners and associates at over half of the largest 100 law firms in the U.S. He specializes in working with lawyers at major law firms and government agencies such as the DOJ and SEC. Mason Kalfas can help you identify what you really need to accelerate your legal career. He will work with you to find the best law firm for your practice and negotiate you the absolute best deal, a deal worthy of a superstar free agent. You need to call Mason Kalfas at Zenith Legal. His number is 202-486-3535, or you can check out his website at zenithlegal.com.
Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is heating up. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for the playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with NBA, NHL, and college basketball entries today on Prize Picks. Prize Picks even offers injury insurance so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So for basketball games, this means if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and doesn't return in the second, that player projection won't count against you and the rest of your entry stays live. Download the app today and use the code BLUEWIRE for a first deposit match up to $100. That code is BLUEWIRE for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Philip has just lost the respect of the youth league football team he coaches. He was asked what New England should do in the draft, and his answer was objectively terrible. The Athletic just wrote a great article about this, but Philip doesn't have the Athletic or the respect of a boisterous group of 11-year-olds who once looked up to him. Learn from Philip's error, get the Athletic, and get the info you need to speak draft fluently.
The kick in the 3-2 to Garcia. Swung on and lined into center field. That's a base hit. Winker scores from third. Rounding third, Thomas coming to the plate. The throw to the plate, not in time. And Caratini dropped the ball as Garcia goes diving into second base. It's a single to center. And 2 runs batted in for Garcia. His 9th and 10th. He takes second on the throw. And still nobody out here in the bottom of the first inning with 4 batters already up. It's the Nationals 3 and the Astros nothing.
The Nationals offense in this 6-0 win over the Astros on Sunday afternoon. So another really solid performance. I would not say that the Nats offense has been great so far in this regular season, but I would say that it has been competent. There has been, I feel like, a competence to the Nats offense that we have not seen in recent seasons. So you look at the overall numbers for Sunday afternoon, 11 hits and 5 walks. I mean, those are good totals, 4 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Now, 10 of the 11 hits were singles. The only non-single was a Nick Senzel solo home run in the 6th inning. But as we are recording this installment of the podcast, the Nationals for the regular season are tied with Toronto for 17th out of 30 major league teams in OPS. That's nothing to write home about, but that's a lot better than where the Nats have been in recent seasons, especially when it comes to hitting for power. As we record this installment of the podcast, the Nats for the regular season are 17th in the majors in slugging percentage. Again, nothing spectacular, but middle of the pack is a lot better than bottom of the pack, which is essentially where the Nats have been in terms of hitting for power. So there is a respectability with the Nats offense so far. That is good to see. And one thing that we are seeing now more regularly is the Nats scoring early in games. 3 runs in the bottom of the first on Sunday afternoon put the Nats in a really great spot and put the Nats en route to doing something that they have not done often in recent years, and that is really coast to a comfortable win. I mean, this was a non-stress Nationals victory on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, so I just looked it up. They've only had one other win this year by more than 2 runs. And that was the game in San Francisco. They won 8-1. So, yeah, I think that more than anything is what allowed them to just breathe easy, use a couple of relievers at the back end, don't have to use Hunter Harvey and Kyle Finnegan, and just cruise to victory. So I think that makes a huge difference if you can every once in a while have a game like that. Overall, what stood out to me is this about them offensively. they're giving themselves a lot of scoring opportunities. Almost every night, it feels like they have at least 10 at-bats with runners in scoring position. And it just boils down to, are they converting in enough of those spots or not? So you just said they're 17th in the majors in slugging and OPS. That's good for them. Here's the problem. They're 24th in runs scored. So they're not necessarily converting as much as they could. Better certainly in this game. The previous day, they didn't do anything until the ninth inning. This game, they did come through twice in the first inning, runners in scoring position, and then a couple more times later in the game. So I think that is kind of the key. We've seen they can give themselves a chance. Now, can you convert when you start getting those chances? And in this game, the two at-bats that stood out to me, Luis Garcia in the first inning, 2 on, base hit, scores 2, and turns a 1-run first inning into a 3-run first inning. And then Joey Meneses in the 5th, 2 outs, bases loaded, simple opposite field, 2-run single, exactly the kind of thing he did so well last year. That's how you turn what could have been a close, tight game where you're using up all your A relievers into a very comfortable 6-0 win.
And we see Joey Meneses for a second consecutive game do well. So maybe, hopefully, he is finally busting out here. But Meneses on Sunday afternoon as that starting first baseman, number 5 batter, 2 for 4 with that aforementioned 2-run single. Also had an infield single. And Luis Garcia Jr., man, he continues to produce. There is a consistency with him this season that has been so nice to see. He in this game on Sunday afternoon, the Nats cleanup batter for a second consecutive game, 3 for 4 with a 2-run single and 2 other singles. You look at the Nats in terms of the individual standouts, I don't think it's a real secret. Like, the offense has been predicated largely on 4 guys: CJ Abrams, Jesse Winker, Luis Garcia Jr., and also Riley Adams. The OPSs for these guys in this regular season: Abrams 1,034, Winker 946, Garcia 824. Like I said, doing a really good job. And Adams at 863. I want to salute Riley Adams. He started all 3 games of this series at catcher. He continues to play a ton with Keibert Ruiz on the 10-day injured list with the influenza. And Adams in every game in this series produced to some degree. Sunday afternoon, 1 for 3 with a single and a walk. The 10-inning win on Saturday, 0 for 2, but an RBI sac fly and a walk. And the 5-3 loss on Friday evening, 2 for 3, solo homer and a double. What you want from a backup, right, is when called upon, the guy can be at least decent. He has been more than decent. He has been a plus offensive producer during this time with Keibert Ruiz out.
The question all along with him has been, we know he can be successful when he's put in there, but is he the kind of guy that the more you play him, the more he gets exposed, and then maybe he doesn't continue to produce? Well, so far this year, the more he's playing, the more he is producing, which is a really nice development for him and for them as a team. They've needed this given the other struggles they've had offensively. I don't know what this means when Ruiz comes back. Does it mean you find more at-bats for him? Does it mean he is more regularly in the DH rotation or something like that? I don't know. But I will just say that given this opportunity, he is absolutely making the most of it. And let's also give him credit for being behind the plate for some very good pitching performances here in the last week or so. I know you don't give it all to the catcher, but he is a part of it. And I think he deserves credit for what he's done in working with some of these young starters.
I know Davey Martinez gave you guys an update on Keibert Ruiz prior to the game on Sunday. How is Keibert doing?
Yeah, we talked to Keibert also for the first time in a while. He's doing a whole lot better. It looks like he's about ready to go out on a rehab assignment. Probably on Tuesday, he'll go play for Harrisburg a couple of games. He kind of feels like, if it was up to me, I'd just come right back and play. He's eligible to come off the IL now. But I'll tell you what, he was out almost 2 weeks. He said this is as sick as he's ever been since he had COVID. It was essentially as bad as that. He lost 18 to 20 pounds. Okay, that's not nothing. This was serious. And the thing you worry about is just rushing him back. Like, you need to give him a chance to kind of get his legs under him again, catch a couple of games, get used to all that, because you would hate for him to try to come back at full throttle and then all of a sudden his body isn't really ready for it yet. So I think you're going to see him go play a couple games in the minors and then come back, and maybe there will be a little bit more of a shared responsibility behind the plate, at least for the first week or so when he comes back. But we kind of joked about, hey, this is like the worst case of flu ever. Well, you know what? It was pretty bad. And you kind of saw it when you would see him in the clubhouse at times, but he kind of put it into words today, just how bad he really was feeling.
And it makes the Nats having him around the team while he was sick look even worse. If he was that sick, what the heck was he doing around everyone? I mean, if you want to do the whole influenza COVID thing, if he had COVID, there's no way he would have been around the team. They would have buried this guy in a hotel room and said, stay the heck away from everyone. And yet with this, which was as bad, if not worse, than his COVID case, he's allowed to roam freely with the ball club. I mean, I still can't get over that the Nats did that.
Yeah, in case listeners out there haven't been able to tell, I've been under the weather here for the last several days. Now, I don't know that I got it from Keibert. I'm not going to blame that on him or on the team, but it has been going around the clubhouse. Other guys have had it. I think Joey Gallo might be the reason he wasn't in the lineup on Sunday. Now, nobody's had it as bad as Ruiz has, but there's definitely something going around. And if it's the reason that I've been sick here for a few days, maybe would have been helpful not to have him out there on the West Coast in close quarters and some like Dodger Stadium, AT&T Park, the Coliseum. These are not large modern clubhouses. And maybe that came back to haunt all of us, including me.
Hey guys, Al Galdi for Window Nation. Are you frustrated by higher and higher heating and cooling bills? Have you finally had enough of the frigid drafts or moisture coming through your windows? We'll take a listen to the great offer being extended by Window Nation to listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. If your windows are cracked, are leaking, and or won't open or stay open, now is the time to call Window Nation, which is offering the following deal to listeners of the Nats Chat podcast: 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and make sure that you tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. Upgrade the look, feel, and value of your home with great new Window Nation windows. Window Nation is the best, and take advantage of the offer: 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 24 months. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And make sure that you tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Here's your James Wood update for the game played on Sunday as the Rochester Red Wings lost 8-7 to the Toledo Mud Hens. Wood hit second, DH this time, 1 for 5, struck out once. He's hitting .306 on the season with an OPS of .884. Now back to the show.
Now Barnes ready, swinging a ground ball to third. Vargas has a big hop. He was down to a knee, up to his feet. The throw to first to Meneses in plenty of time to get Bregman. And bang, zoom, a Curly W's in the books. And so is a series win over the Astros. And what was a great weekend here at Nationals Park. The anniversary, 5 years since their World Championship win over the Astros. They take 2 of 3 from Houston. The final score with a Curly W in the books. The Washington Nationals 6, The Houston Astros, nothing.
Well, next up for the Nats is an off day on Monday, and then a 3-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers at Nationals Park. Game 1, Tuesday evening, 6:45. Patrick Corbin will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2, Wednesday evening, 6:45. Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. And Game 3, Thursday afternoon, 4:05. Mackenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. We referenced this in the last installment of the podcast, but after this off day on Monday, the Nats do not have another scheduled off day until Monday, May 6th. So a lot of Nationals baseball coming up, 2 weeks without an off day. You know, they have that quirky thing that week of May 6th where they have the off day Monday and the off day Thursday because they have that 2-game series against the Orioles. I really wish MLB would find a way around this. The Nats just had an off day on Thursday. They get another one on Monday, and then they go 2 straight weeks without an off day, and then they have a week in which they have 2 off days in 4 days. It makes no sense. Spread out the off days in a more equitable fashion, please. The other weird thing about what's coming up is the Nats, after the 3-game set against the Dodgers, have a 4-game series at the Miami Marlins, the rare Friday through Monday 4-game series, not Thursday through Sunday, Friday through Monday.
And it's a Monday night getaway after playing Sunday afternoon. I can tell you how many people with the team are not going to be appreciating that when the time comes to go from Miami to Dallas, where they're going to face the Rangers off a night game, 4-game wraparound series with a night finale. I know scheduling is tough. I know everybody thinks their team gets screwed over. It happens to everyone at some point. But yeah, boy, you do look at this upcoming stretch and say, like, what were they thinking? How are they making them do this? Maybe there'll be a rain out in there that eases everybody and give them the day off.
Honestly, the Nats could use that at some point here, so we'll see. Now, the Marlins are notorious for doing this, right? Getaway games that are in the nighttime, because I've heard this complaint about the Marlins before.
The Marlins and the Braves seem to do a lot of this stuff. And in the Braves case, I don't know why, because they draw. That's not an issue there. In the Marlins, I think it's probably a feeling of like, hey, we're not going to get any fans to come out there on a weekday afternoon. Well, tough luck. You know what? You still have to, adhere to general standards that every other major league club does. And it doesn't have to be a 1 o'clock start. You could start it at 4. The Nats do a lot of those. That's at least better. But yeah, the 7 o'clock getaway night game is not something that is appreciated, I think, by most visiting teams.
Yeah, and it's the Miami Marlins. You're not drawing 40,000 just because you're playing a game at night as opposed to the daytime, okay? Like, what are you going to get, 12,000 as opposed to 8,000? Like, come on. It's just, the whole thing is kind of quirky. But yeah, you look at these opponents too. 3 games at home against the Dodgers, 4 games at the Marlins, 3 games at the Texas Rangers, and then 3 home games against the Toronto Blue Jays. So the Nats still have not faced like the New York Mets or the Atlanta Braves, right? I mean, there have been very few National League East matchups so far. But this is how it is now with fewer divisional games. You play a lot of teams outside of your division.
Right. And, some people think that's better. Some think it's worse. It's still strange to me. I was very used to April in particular. You're playing a lot of division games and starting to get a sense of how it all shakes out. Now, the top of the division has played really well here lately. I think all 3 teams ahead of them are on long winning streaks, at least coming into Sunday. But they haven't played most of them. So, not that you really know how it's going to work out. I'm not saying the Nats are going to stack up well with the Braves and the Phillies and the Mets over the long haul, but there will be plenty of opportunities to face them and see how they do. And we talked about how they've caught some teams at maybe the right time. The Marlins are off to a terrible start. By the time they get down there in Miami, that could actually be an opportunity for the Nationals finally, for the first time in several years, to be the clearly superior team there and make some hay against a very bad Marlins team.
Look, 10-11 through 21 games. I think most Nats fans would have signed up for that, especially if I would have told you that Josiah Gray would be on the 15-day injured list early in the season with, potentially a serious ailment, although it sounds like it's not as serious as we thought. All right, we have a shout out to deliver, and this is to be read in the voice of John Walker of Alexandria, Virginia. This is John Walker of Alexandria asking my old Verizon colleagues, Harvey and Curtis, can you hear me now? If so, I'm sure you will join Davey and me in saying, let's go Caps. And I echo that, John. It is a tall task to defeat the Metropolitan Division winning and President's Trophy winning New York Rangers in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But just the fact that the Caps are in the postseason is a minor miracle given where this team has been at. Given that the team had a minus 37 goal differential in the regular season, worst goal differential for a Stanley Cup playoff team in the salary cap era, which started in 2005-2006. So this really is something what the Caps have done in making the postseason this year.
And as has been the case for quite a while now, the Nats are all in on them. A bunch of guys were wearing their Cap sweaters and watching the game after Sunday's finale. You know, you would think a lot of times, oh, it's a Sunday early game. Everybody get out of there, get home, go see your families, have dinner. No, there were a bunch of guys in there very closely watching the Caps Rangers game 1 and were quite disappointed as the Rangers open up a big lead on them there.
You know, it's crazy how long the NHL season is. The Caps regular season opener against Pittsburgh was on the night of our Nats Chat party all the way back on October 13th. Here we are now, nearly a month into the Nats' next regular season, and the Caps season is still going on with a postseason appearance having begun.
And in theory, if they were to go all the way or whoever goes all the way, it's still another 2 months before it's over, right?
It's crazy. An NHL season is basically 9 months. It's basically a pregnancy, okay? If you get impregnated early in an NHL season, you're giving birth by the end of that NHL season. Well, hit us up on X. Let us know what you think about the Nats. At Nats_chat is how you can reach us. You can also email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Nats Chat. Our YouTube handle is at Nats Chat Podcast, and please click on the thumbs up button and please click on subscribe. We very much appreciate that. We have a website that we invite you to check out too, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can buy a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. This installment of the Nats Chat Podcast has been brought to us by Mason Kalfas at Zenith Legal. Mason Kalfas and his team specialize in placing partners and associates at medium-sized and large law firms in Washington, D.C. and across the country. Mason's number is 202-486-3535. You can also check out his website, zenithlegal.com. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Pitch. Swinging a fly ball. Deep left field for Senzel. Back on this one, McCormick at the wall looking up, and it's gone. First home run is a national for Nick Senzel. He drops it down into the Astros bullpen, and the Nats lead is now 6-0.
Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston are springing up cash. Just sell us your gently used warm weather styles like tees, shorts, sandals, and more. We're paying cash on the spot for gently used spring styles for guys and girls. Support sustainable fashion. This spring, do your thing and recycle the spring-inspired clothes, shoes, and accessories that are just hanging in your closet for cash on the spot. Let your spring clothes bloom into cash at Plato's Closet. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.